Hi and welcome back to my channel. I am Teenie Crochets and today I'm going to be showing you how to make these versatile pet bandanas. So these can be made in any colour and in any size that you like, so you can make them for your tiny little pug dog or your giant golden retriever. So stay tuned and get your crochet hooks at the ready and let's get going. So let's begin. I'm going to be using DK yarn in blue and my 4mm crochet hook, and don't forget to check out the description box below for a link to the free pattern. So to begin, we're going to do a slip knot onto hook and I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Into the 4th chain from hook, so the very first chain, I'm going to do 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and into that same space, that first chain, I'm going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. And that is the first row complete. So when we chained 4 at the beginning, 3 of the chains counted as a double crochet. So what we have here is 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets. So all our chain 3s are going to be counted as a double crochet. For row 2, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3 and turn our work. And remember, this chain 3 will count as a double crochet. Now into the first stitch of this round, which was the last double crochet of the last round, I'm going to do a further 2 double crochets, so that will make 3 double crochets. So 2 double crochets into that first space. Now we're going to jump over to the chain 2 space, and into this I'm going to do 3 double crochets. I'm going to chain 2 and then do another 3 double crochets. Into the chain 2 space, 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, and another 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Then we're going to jump to the last stitch of this round, which is the top of the chain 3 we made at the beginning. So when we chain 3 at the very beginning, we're going to go into the top of the chain 3 and we're going to do 3 double crochets into that top of that chain 3. 1, 2 and 3. And that is the end of row 2. Now for row 3, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and remember that counts as a double crochet, and we're going to turn our work, and into the last stitch of the previous round we're going to do a further 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. So we have a total of 3 double crochets. We're going to jump over now to the next gap between 2 sets of 3 double crochets, so this gap, and into that gap we're going to do 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Next we are at our chain 2 space, and this will always be the point of our triangle. This chain 2 space will always be the point of our triangle, and we're going to do the same thing into it every row. Into this chain 2 space we're going to do 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. We're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and then we're going to do another 3 double crochet all into that chain space, 1, 2 and 3. We're going to move on to our next hole in between 2 sets of 3 double crochets, and into this space we're going to do 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Grab some yarn, and then again we're going to go to the very last stitch of the previous row, and the very last stitch was the top of the chain 3, and we're going to do into the top of that chain 3 eventually. There we go. I'm going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3, all into the top of that chain 3, and that is the end of our third round. We're now going to do row 4, and pretty much every row after this is exactly the same, so depending on how big you want your bandana depends on how many more rows you do after this. So we're going to begin with a chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, which will count as a double crochet, and we're going to turn our work. And into the last stitch of the previous round, we're going to do a further 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. So we have 3 double crochets. Now we're going to move to the next space, the next hole between 2 sets of 3 double crochets, and we're going to do 3 double crochets into that gap, 1, 2 and 3. We're now going to move to the next hole again, so the next space between 2 sets of 3 double crochets, and we're going to do another 3 double crochets into that space, 1, 2 and 3. And you would do that all the way along until you get to the point of the triangle, to our chain 2 space. And into the chain 2 space we're going to do 3 double crochet, 1, 2 and 3. We're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to do another 3 double crochet all into that space, 1, 2 and 3. And we're going to work the same down the opposite side. So we're going to go to the next hole between the next 2 sets of 3 double crochets, and we're going to do 3 double crochets into that hole, 1, 2 and 3. And then we're going to go to the next hole and do 3 double crochets into there, 1, 2 and 3. And we're going to do that all the way up to the last stitch of this round, which will be the top of the chain 3 from the previous round, and we're going to do 3 double crochet into that stitch, 1, 2 and 3. So that is round 4, and we're going to continue to do that until we get to the size that we want, or until we're going to change colour. So I'm going to do one more round of blue, and then I'm going to change colour, and I'll show you how I do that. So let's do one more round of blue. So 3 double crochets into the first, and then 3 double crochets into all holes. So that's 1, 2 and 3, and then again another hole, 1, 2 and 3. So until I get to the chain 2 at the point of our triangle, and into this chain 2 space we're going to do 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, and another 3 double crochets, 1, 1, 2 and 3, and now 3 double crochets into all the gaps, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. We've got one more gap, so another 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and then into the last stitch of this round, which is the top of the chain 3 from the previous round, we're going to do 3 double crochets into that stitch, 1, 2 and 3, And then I'm going to finish with this colour so I can show you how to use another colour. So I'm going to chain 1 to do that, and I'm going to snip my yarn and pull through, and I'm ready to start the next round with our new colour. So let's add a new colour. I'm going to do white for my new colour, and to attach it I'm going to do a slip knot onto my hook, and I'm going to go to the last stitch of the previous round. I'm going to insert my hook into that last stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, so there are 2 loops on my hook. I'm then going to yarn over and pull through both of these loops. So I have attached my yarn by doing a single crochet, and that will also count as our first chain, and I'm going to do a further 2 chains to make our double crochet, and that is how I attach my colour. So let's continue as normal. So into this space we're going to do another 2 double crochets to make a total of 3. There, grab some yarn, and then I'm going to do 3 double crochets into all the spaces across the row. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then into the point of our triangle we're going to do 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, followed by 2 chains, followed by another 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Now 3 double crochets into all spaces on the opposite side, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then into the last stitch of this round, which is the top of the chain 3 from the previous round. It's always a little bit fiddly, this one, but we're going to do 3 double crochets into that space, 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to fasten off with this colour, chain 1, find my scissors, cut the yarn, and pull through. And I'm going to do another colour change just to quickly show you again how to do that colour change. So get my blue yarn again, bring it back in. So we're going to slip knot onto my hook. We're going to go into the last stitch of the previous round. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So there are 2 loops on my hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops. So we have attached our new yarn, chain 2 to make our double crochet, and then off I go again. And you just continue to do the previous row over and over again until this is the size that you want it to be. Remember, you can make it as big or as small as you want, and you can make it in any colour. So I will finish this row, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how we neaten up the edges and attach the chain. So I now have my bandana to the size that I want it. Ooh, so let's have a look how many rows I did. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I did 9 rows, and that's how big I want my bandana to be. You can go as big as you like. So now we're going to neaten up the edge of the bandana. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and I'm going to do a single crochet into the top of every stitch. So I'm just going to single crochet right across the top, not going into the holes between the double crochets. We're just going into the top of every stitch. And when we get to the peak of our triangle, the chain 2 space, I'm going to do 3 single crochets into that chain 2 space, 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to single crochet back across the other side in the top of every stitch. And when we get to the opposite side of our bandana, in the top of the chain 3 from the previous round, we're going to do 3 single crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to turn our work. And what we're going to do now, let me fix my lights. There we go. So what we're going to do now that I'm not attacking my lights, we're going to single crochet across the top of the bandana, but we don't have stitches here, so what we're going to have to do is we're just going to have to make our own stitches. We are also going to weave in all these yarn ends as we go, because we don't want to have to weave them in at the end. So it looks a bit messy now, and this might be a little bit fiddly, but it's worth to do it so you don't have to weave in the ends. So when I say we have to make our own stitches, I mean we're going to just have to stick our hook into any space that we see along the top of the bandana and create it and make a stitch. And here we have 2 yarn ends. I'm going to hold them between the working yarn and the top of the bandana, so when I make a crochet stitch they are between the stitch and I am basically weaving them in as I go. So we are just making our own stitches along the top. You don't want to do them too tightly because it'll pull all the work together. When you've weaved in the yarn tails enough, you can drop them and then we can pick up the next yarn tails and weave them in or crochet them in as we go. So I'm just making evenly spaced stitches across the top of my work whilst holding the tails between my working yarn and the top of the bandana. And when I've held the tails in for about 3 to 4 stitches, you can let them go in the back. And just continue to make evenly spaced stitches. Right the way across the top. And every now and then just stop and just check how flexible your work is, because you don't want these stitches to be so tight that it rumples it all together. So just keep stopping and having a little look, because you can always take the stitches out and try again. When I get to the very end, I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch of this round to join, chain 1 and cut this yarn tail and pull through. And now if we turn our work over to the back, all these tails from the colour changes can just be cut now because we have weaved them in. And if you haven't weaved them in, just get your embroidery needle now and weave them in and snip. Which will mean we have 1 tail left. Let's use a different needle. Does anyone else have a favourite needle? And it's the only needle that you can use. So I'm going to put the last yarn tail onto my needle and I'm going to physically weave this in. And then cut. So last thing to do is to create a little chain so we can tie this round our fur baby's neck. So in the colour of your choice again, I'm going to do blue. I'm going to slip knot onto hook and I'm going to chain 35, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 and 35. And then I'm going to pick up the top of the bandana and from a stitch at the rightmost side, so it doesn't really matter which one, just any from the top row. I'm now going to single crochet across the top of the bandana. All the way to the opposite side. And then when we get to a stitch at the leftmost side, we are now going to chain 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35 and 36. And now we're going to single crochet back along all the way across to make these tying chains look a little bit nicer. And we're done. So we're going to single crochet down all these chains all the way across the top of the bandana again, and then we are done. I hate single crocheting into chains, so fiddly. And now we are all the way back to the other side, doing our last single crochet. Fasten off with a chain 1, cut the yarn, pull through, and we have 2 tails to weave in, and then we are done. So if I get my fancy pants favourite needle and thread both of these ends one at a time and weave them up the chain, and then snip to finish. 1 and 2. And there you have our completed pet bandana. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please leave a thumbs up now. It's free and it really helps the channel out. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.